This is probably the most important video of the entire update, you guys. Update 3.2, which is FPS. All right, everyone's talking about 120 FPS. In this video, I'm going to break down every single available option when it comes to frames per second, starting from 10 FPS all the way, leading all the way up to 120. And you're gonna see truly, I mean, I know people talk about it a lot, but you're truly going to see why devices truly matter. Even though PUBG Mobile is not pay to win as far as in-game purchases, but someone could definitely argue it is pay to win as far as the advantages you get by having a better device. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, don't be overwhelmed, but what you guys are looking at here, that's why I started off the video on this side of the screen. So this is just to show you guys a real quick snippet of the difference, just very quickly, while everything is running simultaneously: 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 90, and 120 FPS. And then you're going to see each one of these kind of broken down. And we're also going to slow down 60 FPS versus 120 FPS. I'll explain a little bit more in a second. So let's go ahead and watch just this first clip. You can clearly see a massive difference. So this is 10, 40, and 120. Now keep in mind, all these have started at the exact same time. Okay, as far as where, this is actually Sam right here who's running, and then we're viewing it from my perspective. So these were all started at the exact same point. And what's amazing is look at where 40 FPS is. 40 FPS is actually out in front. You'll see 10 FPS is obviously slightly behind. But the big difference here obviously is going to be even the footsteps. Look at the footsteps. It's perfect. It's perfectly laid out and broken down. So 40 FPS is way out in front. So there might be something we could look at there. Like imagine if you were shooting at this person. It looks like 40 FPS is going to get behind cover. So 40 FPS would get behind cover faster than 10 or 120. That's very interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. We'll watch this one twice. All right, you see how smooth and how seamless the 120 is? This is probably the most important one. This is probably the most important one out of them all. That's just think about 40 FPS, huh? Maybe we should do some more device testing on 40 FPS. All right, this one is probably the most important right here. 60 versus 120. Keep in mind, not everybody can even run at 60 FPS. Okay, I mean, this is more your mid-high to high-end devices that can run 60 FPS, or at least run 60 FPS for a sustainable amount of time. And that has to do with overheating issues for some older devices where 60 FPS might be available, but it might not be the smartest thing to do on your phone. The higher the FPS, the more strenuous it is on your device, and the hotter that it can get. What's nice is actually it even tells you in game for once you start increasing those frames per second, when you get to 60, 90, 120, it says, hey, just so you know, your phone might ignite in flames. So at least it gives you that warning. This is the most important one because 60 FPS is already more or less for high-end devices. The fact that a lot of high-end devices have now unlocked 120 FPS. I mean, I'm no math genius, I'm no math wizard, but that is twice the frames. Do you know how monumental that is? 2 times the frames, and 60 FPS is already really good. That's the thing you have to understand. 60 FPS is already like top tier. So now that you can run twice that in PUBG Mobile will be a huge advantage. Okay, Now we're gonna slow it down. This is where it makes the look at the difference. Once you actually slow it down to 25%, there's literally not a frame missing in that top clip. Where this is going to matter the most, of course, is when you're firing. When you're firing is what's going to make all the difference. Look at that. Look at the difference between 10. So this would be, of course, your lowest of low, but it's just really going to break down the difference between high-end versus low-end devices. All right, so here's a look at 10 versus 120. And now it's going to be slowed down. Seamless transition up at the top. So imagine, again, when you are shooting, just how much smoother everything is going to be. And not to mention character movement as well. That's also huge. And it's something I noticed right off the bat is character movement. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take a look at what devices are able to run 120 FPS right now. All right, so these are all of the devices that 120 FPS is available for right now. These are subject to change, and they are going to be, what they're doing is they're still doing device testing on certain devices before they actually implement it completely in the game. So if your device isn't on this list, or if it was on this, or if it was available for you and then it disappeared, don't worry, it's going to be coming back. They're just further optimizing everything. But this is what's available right now. You have the Samsung Galaxy S23, the S23 Plus, the S23 Ultra, the S24, 24 Plus, 24 Ultra, Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5, Nubia Z50, Nubia Z60 Ultra, Red Magic 9, OnePlus 11 and 12, the Xiaomi 13 iPad Pros starting from the year 2020, or from the model 2020, iPad Pro starting from 2020, iPhone 15 Pro Max, 14 Pro and Pro Max, and 13 Pro and Pro Max. But again, if your device is not on this list, and what I just read was basically top tier devices. But if your device is not on this list, they're going to continuously be rolling this out. So what do you guys think, man? I mean, devices now more than ever, just from what we saw in the beginning of the video, the difference in the frame rate cannot be understated when we're talking about the difference that a device makes. And just, I mean, even slowing the clips down to 25%, you can see the most surprising was the 60 versus 120 FPS, because 60 is already high-end device territory. Now that you can have double that is remarkable. But I do want to do more device testing on that 40 FPS, because that character, I mean, by a few feet or at least a couple meters, was way out in front. So very curious to do some more testing on that whole 40 FPS thing. Maybe we got something going on there. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.